Hello there. Welcome to Optimist Fireside Chat. My name is Tyler Hakes, and I am the Strategy Director and Principal at Optimist. And today I'm here with Yam Regev. He is the CMO of Zest, and we're really happy to have him. Thanks for joining us today, Yam.
Yo, thanks for having me. So happy to be here.
Great. Well, I think we're going to talk a lot today about everything from content curation to I think the future of everything, right? So lots of questions on our agenda, and I'm ready to get started. How about you?
Yeah, let's hit the road.
Cool. Well, why don't we just start at the top here? We are, at Optimist, we're pretty familiar with Zest. We use it, but for those folks who may not know of Zest, can you give us kind of a quick 30-second elevator pitch?
Yeah, sure. I think also it's going to be quite the lemoniest talk ever, right? Because both brands have lemon as their icon or in their logo, right?
That's right. Yeah.
Right, something like that, right? They're both lemonized. That's cool. That's great. And yeah, of course. So Zest increased productivity for marketing teams and marketing individuals as well. We do that by building their knowledge, closing the skills gap that each team have, keeping the team members and the individuals, of course, updated. And we do that by distilling a lot of micro content from around the web. I'll talk about it in a second. We distill, we classify, we tag the content. By micro content, I mean articles, podcasts, and videos. Then we understand, or the machine understand what's good and what's not. We can discuss about it, later on as well. And what's good, or the remaining of the high quality content, then being matched to each individual and each team member. And by that, we help them to be much more productive. We believe that content should come to you. You shouldn't go to find. You shouldn't go and explode on the wall of links that Google suggests you or other places. The way that we consume information today is totally broken. And we're all just trying to grasp some sort of pieces of information and sources and resources to help us become more knowledgeable and more updated. But there is no solution that brings the content to you without going to in-app switching and all that. So we believe that content should surround you and not vice versa.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So was that kind of the initial thinking behind Zest is, about learning and about how as professionals we learn, or was it more of a sharing kind of a vision?
Right. So it's actually the combination of two things, and you just mentioned them, of course. I think that I'm a college dropout or university dropout, and I was really bad in school. I didn't even manage to finish the last year over there, and eventually I can't say that I can't say myself that I'm a successful professional, but I managed to hit a few good milestones in my career and to manage big companies and to be CMO in other big startups and to found my own initiative eventually. But throughout this time, I just found myself building myself by myself. So I found my own sources and my resources and people who I count on, who shared information and content. And eventually I was able to build my knowledge towards a given milestone or goal, whatever I had in my personal or professional roadmap. And once I met my co-founder and CEO of Zest, Idan Yalovich, which is, as I said, my co-founder, and he had the same sort of experience of how he built himself. So we understood that everything that related to traditional learning is broken, but we are not going to fix it. But what we want to fix is our professionals developing their own talent and how they do professional development. And over there, we understood that we, all of us are just, as I said, trying to keep up with what's going on. We are loaded with a lot of information. We call it infobesity in Zest. So we are trying to fix it or to be the superfood for marketing professionals as far as relate to what is a reliable source of good and reliable content that not only just relevant to them, but also will increase their talent. So we are locating or we are placing pieces of content on a really individually tailored micro-learning path for each individual user, making them to be, again, as I said, much more productive, knowledgeable, and up-to-date.
that's extremely interesting. I think I guess maybe I don't know if it's unique to marketing, but I think it's especially acute in the marketing world, which is even if you study marketing and maybe you're a great student, but you get out of college and things are evolving so rapidly in marketing that your knowledge is the base of knowledge is obviously still there, but the new tools and the new strategies and the new things that work are changing constantly.
Exactly, and I think that you just said it. You don't have a guide or a teacher after you graduate that will tell you, yeah, you should do that, and you should read this piece of content, or you should whatever listen to this audio or podcast. These pieces of content will help you to do your job better or faster. They're not just relevant to you, but they're also advanced enough wherever you are located in your career path, and of course, learning curve. And I think that what's important after all is that what works for me is that I have some people that I really appreciate and they share content with me or on social media. I follow them. They function as a filter touch point, as a filter for content for me. And this is exactly what we're trying to do with Zest. So today we have almost 140,000 users, and we have 35,000 monthly active users. And all the content that get into Zest is being suggested or contributed by these beautiful users. So professionals or marketing professionals, just like me and you, are the first filter touch point for the content that get into Zest. And then we have a set of machine learning algorithms and AI that help us to distill the content and then match it. And we use a lot of similar to what Spotify does for their own, weekly lists and all that. So it's something that works quite good. And we can see that the more senior you are, the more you use and appreciate Zest. Apparently, you just appreciate it. It saves you a lot of time while it keeps you, updated and knowledgeable.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I definitely want to dig into a little bit more of the behind the scenes there on how that process works and kind of the technology behind it. But first of all, let's just set the stage here. So if I'm a Zest user, what does that kind of look like? Or if I'm like someone using Zest, what do I see or what do I experience?
Right. So today we have a few destinations. We have a mobile app for iOS and Android, and we have a web app, and we have a Chrome new tab extension. It means that each time you open a new tab, you will see Zest as your new home over there. So it's really reachable, and you don't need to go elsewhere to find content should find you. So that's the main. These are the main destinations that we have. I believe that the mobile app is the most advanced product that we have right now because it's easier for us to match content. So you can go there, download the app, then you will be onboarded to the product, and you can choose what type of skills you want to improve. It can be B2B or growth, content marketing, SEO, and so on and so forth. Then you'll be asked to choose when you want to get the content, like the hours in the day. And then how many pieces of content. So you can choose whatever 6 pieces of content to get them on 4 p.m. And then the more you use the app, the smarter it gets. So then we will recommend you to increase the amount or to decrease the amount. I can tell you that our new product, Zest for Teams, that is now being pilot tested with a lot of tier 1 kind of brands with huge marketing teams. So over there, the product is so advanced that it's also understand your content consumption habits. I can tell you that, of course, we use Zest for Teams within Zest, and I'm considered to be a slow reader. As you see, I'm not a native English speaker. And apparently, again, I love to read articles, but according to the benchmark of my team and the industry, I read a little bit slow. But it doesn't mean that it should stop me from developing my talent and become better at what I do. So we see that the platform surface more audio content and video content to me, just because I need to keep on progressing, of course, and slow down. So that's only one example of what Zest does, how it surrounds you with what you need to consume, not what you want to consume, vice versa, if you know how Facebook and LinkedIn algorithms work.
Sure. Well, that's amazing. So yeah, I guess I hadn't learned about the Zest for Teams, but I think that's a huge thing. I mean, I can just tell you on our team, we talk a lot about that, about sort of the asymmetry of knowledge and experience across the team. And I think if you take our team as a whole, we have an incredible amount of collective knowledge, but not everyone has the same knowledge. And so we're always thinking about ways to kind of distribute that more evenly and get everyone kind of on the same playing field. So that sounds awesome. I'd love to learn more about that for sure. Okay, so that's kind of the user side. They can use the Chrome extension or the mobile app to kind of discover content, and then essentially what's happening is there's kind of a content marketplace behind the scenes here, right? So there are also people who are recommending content, whether that be just your users specifically or publishers, marketers, etc. So can you talk a little bit about kind of the other side of the marketplace here?
Yeah, so that's a good question, because it took us few months to understand that we really have these two segments within our product. And one of them, I'm not sure if you're familiar with the internet 1% rule, which means that, well, for communities, right, that you have it divided to 90, 9, and 1, right? So 90% will be consumers, 9% will be more active, and 1% will generate most of the content for most of the community. It's like some sort of benchmark for internet activities or community activities on the web. And it took us a few months to understand that we have some sort of this activity, sorry, on Zest. And then what we did, I'll start from the end. What we did is that we restructured the company according to those segments, right? So we divided them into contributors and to consumers. And then we had someone that was responsible for contributors growth, which means to have more contributors, people that will actually contribute more pieces of content on Zest. And we also had, under the contributors effort over there, so we also have contributors, someone that was responsible for retaining or contributors retention. And so that we need to create some sort of two parallel funnels. So we had the contributors funnel and we had the consumers funnel. Then we divided them to weekly active consumers and weekly active contributors and so on and so forth. So that's really reshaped the company and help us to be far more accurate with messaging. And it was funny because sometime when you want to do guest posts, for instance, in some other blog, so we had a fight between the marketing manager for the consumers, the marketing managers of the contributors, because you can write something that will generate more contributors traffic, and you can also write something that will generate more consumers traffic. So that's a great idea of two efforts that try to dominate. But again, it's only good for the sake of the business, of course. And I think that it's even better for the sake of users because we sharpen our messaging. The onboarding was different. The drip email campaigns are separated. So that was a wonderful discovery. And today we know that those contributors were just, marketers, as I said, just like me and you. They feel that they are part of something big, a tool that actually help, clean the web or to make or to bring or to surface up content that in other cases wouldn't be surfaced up because of different reasons. So those contributors are really the beating heart of Zest. I can also tell you that I think it was 3 months ago, we released a new model for premium contributors. So it's like a subscription-based or monthly subscription-based that those contributors get 100% approved for their for their contributed content, whether they created the content or just found it and contributed on Zest. They also, and that's really nice, of course, they get a badge and all that, which is associated with their profile. But was groundbreaking for us to do is to actually give those great people a piece of the action. And it means that those people soon, probably next month, they will get equity from Zest. So they will have the same type of equity that we have as co-founders. For instance, of course, their shares will be much lower, but Zest is something we see it as a platform that is should function as a facilitator of the whole activity. We don't feel that we own the feed or we own the content stream, or that we need to, or we're owning the roadmap. We have user advisory boards. We have contributor advisory boards. Those wonderful users helping us to shape the future of Zest and to shape the whole venture to a more successful future. So it's something that we really, again, it's not decentralization, of course, not blockchain and all that, but really feel that we need to give away because there is such a deep community involvement in what we do. So we just need to, give away a little bit and a little bit more. I believe that in time we'll do that. So that's something that's actually happening these days, and it's super exciting.
That is, yeah, it's extremely exciting. I think we could spend a couple hours probably discussing that. I think we have sort of a similar model of kind of distributed equity within our team as well. I think that's an important new thing that I'm seeing more and more. I think teams and companies just recognizing the fact that you can align people's incentives in new ways by kind of creating these new structures and giving people buy-in, right? I think that's ultimately what it is. It's getting them buy-in to the mission, but also to like financial buy-in with the actual product and the success of the company.
Yeah, and what is a product without its users, right?
Yeah, 100%. So I'd love to actually learn a little bit more about that. So you mentioned kind of the guest posting scenario and that kind of stuff. So how did Zest kind of market itself? Like how did you guys grow your users?
Right. Actually, it was a very gradual kind of procedure, and we started off by understanding that we don't know anything. At the beginning, we thought that we know everything. So we released an alpha version of Zest. I think it was the less successful thing that I ever did in my life. It was so bad, and we got really bad feedback. Our colleagues, they didn't understand what we're trying to achieve. They didn't understand what is the goal. They asked themselves a lot, of course, as a user, what's in it for me, and they didn't get an answer for that. It was really far off of what we're doing right now, which is good, of course. And then we understood, that we don't know anything. And once we understood that, it means that the power or the, let's say, the motivation is not around raising funds and let's do something, something like that will look like a hockey stick graph, or to create another hockey stick graph. Both me and my partner already did it before. Here is the first interruption. Sorry for that.
No worries.
כן? רוצה? את כואב לך הראש? בואי נגיד לתמר שתכין לך שוקו. בסדר? אז מה נעשה? מה אנחנו נעשה? את מה תחכו לי בסלון ואני תכף יבוא. בסדר? תחכי לי עם תמר בסלון ואני תכף יבוא. בסדר? אני תכף בא. לא? תנסי לחכות בסלון ואני תכף יבוא. את רוצה שתמר תיתן לך תרופה בגלל שכואבת לך הרגל? מה תרצה שנעשה? Sorry for that. Need one more second or minute?
No worries.
אני בשיחת וידאו עם חברים. רוצה לחכות לי קצת שאני אסיים ואני אבוא לחבק אותך? רוצה לחכות לי טיפו? יאללה בואי. Okay, so we have a guest. All right, let's see how it will work. Sorry for that. Quarantine life, steady life.
No worries. All good.
Good. So I assume that we'll have a few more incidents like this. So let's see how it flows, right?
No worries.
So where were we about how we grew it? How we grew Zest? So what we actually did is that we just removed all automation softwares that we had. We canceled even the welcome email when you sign up to Zest. Everything was just removed. We understood that all those automation softwares are functioning as a buffer between us and our users. And then we couldn't hear or listen to them. We didn't understand what is the lingo and jargon that they use, what they miss, what they need more. And so we just removed them and we started to manually communicate with those first users. First users, I posted on Facebook and in a few Facebook groups and LinkedIn and all that. And I said, we are looking for beta testers. So it was really authentic. And people, I think, were intrigued by the idea, by the general idea, but I think that they were engaged by the approach probably. And they were, they said, all right, I'll take it for a spin. Let's see how it goes. And then we iterate a lot. And I was in contact, I think, with over 4,000 people on a weekly basis. And it was, working like 14 hours a day. trying to understand what's so bad, what is not working, how it should be done, how we can improve the branding, how we can improve the product, how we can improve dimension. And we really listen. And I think that what those professionals or people, users, felt probably is that what we call in Zest, that they suddenly felt the warmth of our hand on their shoulders. And as I all the time say, not in a creepy manner, it's just, all right, there is someone over there that actually listened to us. Those nice people trying to do something nice. I don't know them. I don't know the product. I don't really care about the solution, but I already feel some sort of ownership with what's going on. That was the first spark that ignite everything. We bootstrapped the company for, I think, 4 months till we got 30,000 users. And we just saw it, we can say, spread within company, within geos. Like I remember the first user that we had in Australia, and the day after, after a few emails, a few manual emails, we had like 40 more users from Australia. Same goes in companies. I remember the first users that came from Buffer, and then after a day or two, we had more users coming from Buffer. And then people started to send us videos in the office when their colleagues go to to the bathroom or toilets, and their screen is open with Zest over there because it looks good. So what is this product? What is it? And so I think it's some sort of combination of probably value proposition, which is quite good. You understood it, you get something out of it, but a lot of humanization, we can say, of both the product and the brand, and eventually people got engaged. And I think that many of the first thousands of users that we had 2 years ago are still using Zest. These are our power users. And today, of course, after a while, I think we crossed the 6,000 users. It was like 1.5 years ago. So then we started to add in automation, like, emails and email that are based on figures and all that. And the emails were 100% resembled what I did manually, even with the mistakes, with the spelling mistakes, some of them, not all of them. I really like those. Yeah, I really like those emails that we send right now. You can sign up to Zest and see how we do that. It's I call it, they're really disruptive, but they're not disruptive. They are, shimmering and beautiful. They look broken a little bit. It looked like an email that I sent you 2 days ago when we discussed about the agenda of this, of this video. So it looks really ununified, you can say. It's really conversational. You will have probably GIFs. You will not see any kind of HTML in it. You will not see banners coming into that. It's really as humans, not as brand to humans, right? And that was the beginning. And I think that after a while, it becomes, or the word of mouth activity just exploded. Today, I think that we are one of the biggest marketing communities in the world. So it's a great privilege, and it's a great journey, that's for sure.
Do you guys find yourself still kind of, I think the term they use is kind of like feeding the funnel by hand, right? Is like kind of activating each individual user and then kind of letting that propagate.
Yeah, exactly. We understood that people just want to be part of what we do, not because of they want to take an active action, something that will take them a few hours a week, but they want to be part of the story. And we can say the sharper the story got, the more people want to be part of it. Today we have something that we call, once we cross the 100,000 users, we said that it's the time to create some sort of movement. And when we released the mobile apps, we asked people, our users and colleagues and all that, to tell their story about what is their only career plan. And of course, we created a brief about it and all that. And my only career plan, that was the name of the campaign, hashtag my only career plan, was to always keep learning, because I can change positions, I can change roles, I can change responsibilities, like that, I was the CMO at Zest until December, and then we rotate, we replace positions, and my co-founder is now the CEO and CTO, and I'm handling all the business, and I'm doing the marketing, sales, and business, and growth, and all that. We can speak about it. I think for me, it was the best thing ever because I now can, have a little bit of sleep each night. But I think that eventually, yeah, that's a discussion for maybe another video. But I think that eventually we are changing roles all the time. But the only thing that we should keep on doing and to be persistent with is just to keep on going and learning, by ourselves. So we started 6 to 7 people will post it, their career plan or their point of view about it on social media, and eventually almost 400 people did it. People that don't know Zest, and we understood. And I think that's a good tip for everyone who watch us is that whatever your solution is, whatever your product gives to others, you should try to zoom out a bit and try to see a wider picture of what you do on this planet. And what we understand, we are not just, I try to simplify things. We are not a content matching tool or something like that. We are actually making professionals to be better version of themselves. We are all engaged. We call it the tribal self-learners because we do it as a tribe. We do it as a community. We learn by see what others are doing. We are getting content that other people contributed and then was being matched to us by associations and algorithms and all that. So we just understood that and we zoomed out and we created this campaign. And only for the beta testers, I think that the amount of beta testers was the 6,000 registered users back then. Great launch. And then, of course, we hit number 1 on Product Hunt. So it was a really good campaign that went far beyond the brand proposition.
Wow. Yeah. So what I'm hearing here is a diversified marketing mix. You got a little bit of kind of community direct outreach, a little bit of viral brand marketing, and then a little bit of product stuff with like Product Hunt, which is really interesting. I always think it's interesting. I think that's we work with a lot of startups, and I think one of the biggest challenges that people always run into is just like, how do you get over that initial hump? Like, how do I get some momentum here? So I feel like things are working. So it's always interesting to hear that. I'm intrigued by this idea of like individualized professional knowledge, I think is the language that you guys use. And I think you made a good point here, which is that, you're not just like a content matching platform, like there's kind of this greater mission to really kind of plug into the learning aspect. And so I'd love to know is when you discuss this stuff with potential users or customers or whomever, do they kind of understand that problem that you're solving already, or is it something that you have to kind of help them see?
Yeah, we had a discussion about it. We are reshaping and tightening up the brand proposition, UVPs and USPs all the time, especially when you're when you're fundraising, and that's our current situation. And then it makes you think even, I don't know, wider or in more simple way about what you actually solve, and not just that, how many people feel the pain that you're trying to solve. We understood that a lot of people are just living in a reality. It's like the usual cliche with Ford and the horses, right? If you ask people what they want, they want faster horses, but they will not say they want cars, right? So I think we are now, after a while, we understand we're almost in the same place, because people already got used to the way that they consume information. So we are all just blasted with that, and we go to Google to see manipulated results. I have nothing bad to say about Google, of course, and we are not trying to not fight them. We cannot. But I think that what really helped digital professionals to understand that this is life, and life can be gray, and gray, it's all right. And we are trying to bring in a little bit, a yellow color to life, to make it shine a little bit further, and to explain that there should be other kind of a solution or more kind of that of solutions. Yeah, you can use Google, Facebook groups, and the feeds to do, to get the content and information that you want over there. Eventually, the content that you need to consume is what you need to consume, and not what you want to consume. A lot of time when you scroll on Facebook and you see a cat playing piano, you just stare on that, and then you scroll a little bit further, more, and you will see more viral nonsense, right? But it doesn't mean you need to see it, you just want to see it. So we are trying to do quite the opposite in Zest, and to understand what you need to do in order to become a better version of yourself, and of course for your team. So we now that we are ramping up, and we already fundraised $700,000 a year ago, and now when we are facing our seed round, so we're bringing in bigger players to join forces with us. So then we are being asked about those questions, and now we're tackling them. So we, probably will see a new website on Zest with new messaging, new brand propositions, new product, and the new a holistic kind of solution. And it's going to be, it's not going to be easy, of course, not for the product team and our R&D team. It's going to be tough for them. And I also feel mercy about myself, about branding and messaging and marketing, of course. But that's, that's a challenge, and I totally accept it. And I know that I'm not consuming, and I know that, the tens of thousands of users of Zest do not consume content or information as other people around the web. And I bring it to other verticals as well. So I believe that by the end of 2020, we will also expand to other verticals, like design, development, finance, entrepreneurship, and all that, because the information over there is just keep on changing, and you need to be up with what's going on. And the more accessible the web become, and the cheaper it is to create content, so the more information there is. And I believe that the more time, as time goes by, more tools or solutions like ours will just, bring the sunshine to this as well.
Yeah, it makes sense. So I mean, it sounds like part of the marketing challenge there is a little bit of sort of demand generation, but also like sort of habit change, right? Like just kind of helping people to kind of rewire their brain in the way that they consume information, and making it more intentional and more strategic, really.
Yeah, I think that's even, let's take it one step further. For instance, and it's something that we now work in Zest. We have a collaboration with Slack, and also we're going to integrate with a few of Atlassian products. And I'll give you an example. If I'm writing a brief in Confluence for my team, for instance, why should I go to other places to look for a knowledge building content to add to my brief? Why shouldn't I just type something, and then a Zest add-on will give you 2 to 3 options that you can link, so your team members can consume this content, whether it's a podcast, video, or article. So it will make them to be more knowledgeable about it. They can consume it in a special iframe kind of window. And then you don't need to go elsewhere. In-app switching today for organizations and enterprises costs, I think that all in all, and also to find information out there, costs around the $500 billion a year only for US enterprises. So the pain is there, and it costs a lot of money for a lot of big companies, but also a lot of frustration for individuals and small teams. So I hope that we will to give some sort of solution for those users.
That's interesting. So the vision there is sort of expanding to kind of a new type of context, right? Like, so it's not just like your personal context of what you know or where you're at in your career or whatever, but it's about the context of when and where and how that information is being used.
Yeah, exactly. So in your, in public, we don't want to create, although we have new feeds and new platforms, we don't want to rely only on them, but we want to integrate with places, the teams and the are already operating and working. It's part of the whole vision, right? It's all coming up together to create some sort of a holistic solution. I don't care. It can be your IoT, whatever, fridge that will tell you, I don't know, summarize summary of I don't know, recent news in marketing. When you drink your coffee, if you find it, I can tell you one nice anecdote in Zest is that during the early AM, we can see a spike in long form content consumptions, like articles that are longer than 10 minutes. Can you guess why? So what we understood is that people are, once they are on the toilet, they read longer articles, and then we see, which is nice, and we see that when they go to work, so then there is a spike in podcast consumption for obvious reasons, right? So either it's you go to work or when you are working out before you go to work, so you listen to podcasts and audio content. And during the noon time, we can see a spike in video consumption because people can watch a video. Some of them, crazy people like us, of course. So I think that if you understand from this kind of zoom out consumption habits that we have now data on Zest, and how we are going to integrate with other team solution or team communication softwares, so we can really undertake our vision to be a mission, right? And then to execute and to bring it closer to the ground level, to make it real, and to be the place, or again, I don't know if it's going to be the go-to place because we're going to, for a lot of integrations, but it's going to be the go-to solution for professionals to keep on growing, learning, being updated, and become better versions of themselves.
That's awesome. No, that's really cool. I think that's quite the grand vision you've laid out there. Sounds like you're raising some money.
Yes, that's true.
Good luck on that, by the way.
Thank you.
So I think on your site it says something like I think it's like 97% of the content that gets submitted is actually rejected from Zest. Can you talk a little bit about that and like kind of how things get vetted or why they get rejected?
Yeah, so we use a few set of algorithms. We started it off by ourselves, that we were the moderators, and then we brought in a few other users or colleagues that will help us with that. And then we had a few hundreds of users that said, yeah, all right, I don't mind to moderate. If you have a content, it's 5 minutes a week. So if you have, I don't know, 2 pieces of content you want me to moderate, let's do that. And we added reject reasons and accept reasons for each of those moderation processes. So the machine learned what is good content, what is bad content, according to other marketing professionals, or a lot. It's like hundreds of marketing professionals vet conclusions. And that was the first set of algorithms that we built, just to understand from other professionals what they think is good content. But then
what were the reasons?
Right. So the biggest reason is that most of the content is not in depth enough. That's, I think, almost 8% of the rejection reasons. I truly believe that 500 word article, 700 word article might be good, but it's not in depth enough to build we can say a knowledge building message. Something you can take and say, all right, I understand. Now let me just copy paste this part to my Trello or Slack or Microsoft Teams, whatever, a board, and then have my team to work on it or to add it to our current project. In cases, we consider it's fluff content and something that is was created for the sake of content creation. Unless it's a news item. News items don't need to be that in depth. But they definitely, what we prefer to see in Zest and what we see that other Zesters are consuming, as far as related to news, is that how this company took the new algorithm change of Google and then work it out toward their own benefits. That's a good actionable piece of content that is rely on news item, but it's very pragmatic. So that's for that. And, the other reasons for that is that the content is too branded. So we can see a lot of the brand name, a lot of mentions of it within the text. And of course, keyword stuffing. So that's SEO stuff. So we can see that. And that's the second algorithm that we built. We actually analyzed the content like with using NLP technology, and to understand how many brand name mentions there are, what is the keyword density that there is, what is the domain rank and domain authority, and who suggested the content, right? So they already have some sort of, if they have an history of that in Zest or not. And now because we have a lot of, we have a huge repository of content, so we can say that, I'll just give you an example that in order to get an article about the skyscraper technique in SEO, to get it moved into Zest, so it probably should be it should be an ebook or something really in depth, because benchmark wise, we already have this content and it's good enough and it's still fresh. Even if you bring in an article that is 2,000 word long and it's really in depth, maybe it will not be enough for Zest because we already got it, right? So it's all the time being improved, and it's all the time getting harder and harder to get content into Zest. And I think that what's mostly interesting is the third part, or the third type of algorithms that we build, is that we actually understood how people consuming the content, right? So it's not just how deep they scroll, or how long they stay on the page, but it's also, did they share the content on Facebook or on Slack, all right?
Okay.
If you share it on Facebook or Twitter, you will get a lower rank or lower score for it, although it's good, again, you shared it over there. But if you shared it on Slack or Trello or something like that, or email or WhatsApp or something like that, so it will get a higher rank, because you will not spam your Slack channel, you will not spam your WhatsApp friends,
right,
your email recipients. So and it makes sense, right? So the more shares that you have over these kind of platforms rather than the other ones, probably means that the content means a lot for someone.
Right.
When you do it on Slack and Trello, we also use NLP to see what is the card that you create over there. Of course, this is the only permission that we have. We cannot see anything else. But by understanding what the action item that you took from the article, help us not just to understand that the article is good, but also what part of the article is good. And then later on, we'll develop something that is more some sort of will be to automate some sort of summaries and to have a lot of action items per article. So you don't need to go to the article thing, but you'll get the action items that other people shared and took from.
Yeah. So you can kind of approach it from both sides. It sounds like you kind of moderate and curate content on the front end, and then you validate that on the back end based on like the engagement data and how people are actually interacting with the content that gets through.
Yeah, so you use some sort of like a triangle of three different algorithms, and eventually I think that we now in the past few months we nailed it. And as you said, a lot of the content is being rejected, but in our emails and the watchers and listeners can, and you can try as well. We're trying to give a very constructive feedback about the rejection reason. So you will get an automated email from me probably. Saying it was rejected because it's not in depth enough. We are sorry. We are covered, in this space. If you have a more detailed article about this given subject, feel free to resubmit or resuggest. If you can also improve your content and then send us an email, and then we can recontribute it under your behalf. So very sensitive with that. We know that it's a huge turnoff for a lot of users. But once you get your content in, you will get probably a lot of traffic. Again, we are not a behemoth, we're not generating a lot of traffic, but probably the traffic that we will send, will generate, will convert quite good and will be very engaged with your content and website. Today, we are generating around 5 million page views only on the Chrome new tab extension each month. It works good, but we are not here for generating a lot of traffic, but to make sure that the traffic that we are generating are in really high quality.
That makes a ton of sense. Yeah. So for like our team, right? So we're content creators, and we work with clients to create content. What lessons do you have for us about how do we create content that is valuable and sort of good enough for the Zest platform?
Yeah, that's a good one. And we also prepared what we call the yellow guidelines or content guidelines that help people to improve their content. I all the time say to a lot of users that they shouldn't do it for the sake of getting their content into Zest.
Fair enough.
We let them in Google for ranking in Google for SEO purposes, for converting more visitors and all that. But I believe that content should be, probably well structured, between 15 to 2,000 words. I think it should be very constructive. We can say it should be well structured. A proper opening. It sounds very, very basic, but a proper opening, a lot of what's in it for me in the body, in the proper ending, not just to write a conclusion or stuff like that. I can tell you that from seeing how other professionals and tens of thousands of them are consuming content or digital content, we can say. So your H's are super critical. This is why I'm urging, and you will not see it on our blog, for instance, that the last paragraph we will not name it conclusion or last words or something like that. It should be descriptive. People are just scrolling through the article first. They're looking for those anchors that will help them to understand, what's in it for me? Should I waste my time on that or not? So I think that creatives are important, really important. Shouldn't be too cluttered, and shouldn't be too colorful. But also your H's and titles within the article should be, top-notch and very descriptive. And what we suggest for a lot of publishers that work with us, and we also have featured content kind of option within Zest. So if your content get approved and you want to increase the exposure for this one, so you can buy some sort of bundle from Zest. You can get your logo and to increase the exposure of the content. And to those bloggers and brands is to have a few more CRO elements to their articles. And it's totally legit, to try and capture those leads. We have someone very tired over here, so I'm sorry for the noise. Maybe exiting 10 pop-up might be a little bit too intrusive, but I can tell you that it works good. I think it's legit. If you're creating an in-depth content, it's all right to capture leads. I think that something that works really good is the subscribe boxes that you can just integrate or implement within your article between paragraphs. I think those kind of things are really great. And what we see that works the best is that if you add a free tool or a free ebook or a free Excel spreadsheet, Google spreadsheet, for instance, with your Gantt or something like that, you can add to a given article. It's not in direct relation to what the article describes, but you can just give it, as a giveaway. So that works really good. Whether you are gating it or not, I prefer that not. But you can create other sorts of gated content. But those kind of elements really help you to engage more. I think to be more searchable, right? Or to get more exposure on Google while you capture more leads, and making yourself far more, I think, attractive for professional visitors. Again, we are targeting marketers, so that's we consider those people, us people, we are really within the details, so we cannot just sell something to us.
Yeah, no, I think that's interesting. That's something that we've talked about a lot, and I think that increasingly sort of the metric of like page views and stuff is becoming irrelevant, right? Because like obviously you want to get people to come to your site and look at your article, but that's only a small part of the battle, I think, right? Like most people are going to skim your article, and unless they find a place to kind of hook them, then they're not even going to start reading it, right? They're just going to, it's worth my time, and I'm just going to kind of move on, right?
Yeah, exactly. There is so much content over there, so you need to do something special, to be discoverable, and to capture those leads. And I think that the best thing is to just give away a lot of things. So it's not just the UX of reading the article or just give, a free something, but also to create a proper content that is in depth and is very shareable, with a lot of knowledge building elements in it. Again, there are some things that I can see that are really annoying me. That those listicles, for instance, I think you'll not find a lot of listicles on Zest, and I'm happy for that because it seems that I'm not alone. I think that listicles are not in depth by nature, for instance.
Right.
I think it's really hard to take something out of them and to say, all right, I can do with that something tomorrow.
Right.
And again, it's very shareable, but we know that 66% of the people who share content on Twitter, for instance, they never read the article.
Yeah, I think that's really interesting. Like, I think people think of sort of competing with content through the lens of like kind of one-upping their competition, which I think is true, but I think that they're using heuristics in kind of the wrong way, right? So they're looking at something like word count, which is a heuristic, right? It gives you a general sense of like, is this going to be a worthwhile article? But really, what you have to one up people on is value, like the value that you're providing in your content, because there's 20 other articles I could read on this topic. So how is your article helping me more?
By the way, it's the same approach that you have for product and product market fit, right? There are so many tools and platforms out there. What differentiates you from others? What is your proposition? So, product marketing and content marketing are really the same. And I think for product marketing and product marketers as a whole, they develop a lot of things that help them to understand what works for them more and what's not. I can give you one example from Hotjar, for instance. They have great content strategists over there and a great content team. And what they created in the past is some sort of beta readers. We call it technique already. Is it created a really in-depth content, and they ask a lot of people to have some feedback and to review it before they're launching. One second, I just close the door. Nice. Yeah, we have a few more kids over there, right? So it's not just this. And what they did by that is that they had like, again, beta testers or beta readers that actually already knew about the launch of the article or the publish time of the article, and once they publish it, so all those readers they felt some sort of ownership about this product, which is just a long form article, and they talked about, they shared it, and that's product marketing done in a content marketing way, right? So that I love this kind of technique. Content marketers can learn a lot from product managers and product marketing managers.
Yeah, I think that's definitely the way that I think the world is trending, and certainly our team is trending too. Is like I think the other kind of parallel there is treating each piece of content like it is its own product, like it's a product, like it's something that's worthwhile. And that means investing time in making it better. It means building a kind of a whole campaign and a whole structure and a strategy around each individual piece. Which is that's something that we tell clients all the time is we're not going to dictate a general strategy for every article. It's going to be what is this content, how is it going to serve the user, and what should we do with it to create the most value with this piece.
Yeah, exactly. And that's it sounds so when we speak about it, sounds so I don't know, basic, right?
Yeah, it sounds obvious, right?
I think that again, content, a lot of companies see content as a commodity. I especially don't like to hear it. It's something that I don't agree with. Again, it's if you see content as a commodity, it's because this world of information overload that we kicked off this session with, that we live in, it's definitely not a commodity. You need to think a lot before create content. Don't create it just for the sake of creating it, and think how it can do well for others, where you can engage, how you can give more of yourself and from your brand and product. And I think these are the basics. This is what I believe are the basics.
Yeah. I like that thinking. I think that I think we're kind of at or coming up to a crossroads maybe, where I think that a lot of the old stuff, like you're saying, fluff content, 500-word articles, keyword stuffing, all that stuff is really truly like dying off. I mean, it hasn't really been successful for a long time, I think, but I think most companies are finally recognizing that, and they realize that if they're going to invest in content, they need to invest in a real way and not just as a line item on their marketing budget.
Yeah, definitely.
Super interesting. Well, I really value your insights on the world of content and all that stuff. We had a couple questions from the team that they were curious about, so I wanted to pivot a little bit here. So some folks are wondering about this idea of like fake news or like misleading content and sort of how Zest deals with that, or maybe even just your personal thoughts on kind of how we kind of combat that reality.
That's a good question because I have no answer for that. I will try to divide my answer into two. We will leave fake news, to others to try and solve. It's a huge problem that we all know and aware of. I believe that what Zest is doing right now, or trying to do even better, is to understand again not what is fake information or misinformation, but to try and understand not try to understand what is the bad, but try to understand what is the good information or professional content that is there. I think that we see Zest as Spotify for professional content. I think it's our job to make sure that the content that we serve to our tens of thousands of users is not just, as I said at the beginning, relevant for them, but also help them to grow and to be better, and as I all the time say, of themselves. And I think I quite sure we can achieve this goal. And I believe that we need, as I already said, a lot of brain power for that. And brain power, again, it's not the money power, but the brain power that will help us to achieve the fit that we're trying to achieve, and to solve probably, a huge problem that costs a lot of money for a lot of people. And for that, we need probably more users. And I believe that, in our growth, as our growth pace is quite good already, so I believe that we can achieve it, and then, say that we are in a good enough kind of position in one industry, and then to move to a different industry, which is quite close. We can quickly expand to product or to sales verticals. The is structured quite the same over there. Professionals consuming, they have the same consumption habits, so we can do it over there. So again, it's not about the misinformation, but what is the good professional content, right?
Yep, that makes sense. Great. Well, one other thing which I think is interesting here. So someone was mentioning that there's been a lot of talk about the shift of social media from kind of these like open public forums to more of like this digital living room idea, right? Of kind of small, curated, closed communities, and sort of how that fits into the Zest model, which I think from what you shared, I think that kind of ties into the idea of like Zest teams, right? And that kind of vision for sort of curating even further.
Yeah, definitely. Again, it's let's just imagine that me and you and a few of 20 other professionals are on the same whatever Slack channel or WhatsApp group or whatever messaging app there is right now. I believe that we will think quite good before we'll share content over there. You probably will not say, "Wow, that's a great title of the article. I will share this article in the Slack channel for it." Right? You will never have your Slack channel, almost never, or your group in this case. I think that for Facebook and LinkedIn is getting improved in it. I think that Facebook, again, as long as they give you the content that you want and not the content that you need, so it's not the best to discover content over there. Maybe news items, yes, but again, I'm finding most of my I'm talking about really good content. I can say, okay, I'm going to change my next campaign because of that one. I'm going to add this action item to my current workflow. I find it through peers and colleagues that share content with me in different channels. It can be on social media, of course, as well. And I think that you can see it even in with the algorithms of LinkedIn, that the filter bubble over there is really narrow, and you're creating, as you said, a living room or a filter bubble or a bubble, right? That you are, if you can try it out right now, right? You can go to LinkedIn, you can like 10 posts, right, one by the other, and I can guarantee that the next time that one of them will post, you will see it.
Right.
Right, so it's so simple to gamify or to manipulate the algorithms over there. And I think that Facebook is a little bit more advanced. So the filter bubble over there in Facebook is a little bit wider. But again, it's a filter bubble, and a lot of voices are not being heard. A lot of content is not being exposed over there. And I think that I don't think if we, but I think that there can be a better solution for that, for discovering and building your knowledge.
Great. Well, really, it's really interesting. I think we're in interesting times right now, where, you know, as you mentioned, there's a lot of challenges there, and I think companies are putting a lot of brain power behind how to, you know, help with that. And obviously, I think Zest and your platform plays a big role in that, and kind of gives us another, probably a better way to kind of curate that content within small communities and for ourselves personally. So I think it's really valuable.
Yep.
Cool. Well, we're at our hour here, so I think we kind of rattled through most of the questions that we had on deck. Did you have any other, I guess, you know, final thoughts or anything that you want to share with viewers here?
Nothing else to add. I can say that I'm very achievable, you know, or reachable. Sorry, if you want to reach me out, you know, on LinkedIn, you can also email me at yam@zest.is. I can give you my phone number as well, you know, although I'm in Israel. But whatever, if someone have any kind of question, just DM me. I think that's about it. We'll just say hello to my little partner as well, right? She tried to be so quiet, and she just woke up.
Well, thank you very much for joining our conversation.
Definitely, she did her best.
Well, thank you again so much, Yam. It was great chatting with you, and I feel like we learned a lot, and just super helpful. So thanks again for your time, and have a great rest of your night.
So thank you so much, and thank you so much for having me, and have a great day over there.
All right, cheers.
Thank you. Bye bye.